This is in response to another video that I have already made, so I will be moving forward assuming that you've already seen the other tutorial. Okay, in this tutorial we are going to cover a very simple addition to the edgewear materials that can add dirt and grime into the crevices of a material. Now the way that we are going to add dirt into these crevices is by mimicking the setup that we have here, just further down the line. Since we have this material looking the way we want and we just want to add something on top, we're going to create a mix on top of this output from this mix shader. I'm going to Shift D and I'm going to move it over. And we're not going to connect it yet because first thing I want to do is I want to duplicate this paint color here. So we'll select all of these and we'll go Shift D and we'll move it over. Let's also take that location over to the vector of that first mapping node right there. We also want to remove some of these colors here. So I'm going to remove both of these and I'm going to take this image texture from the roughness into the base color. You don't have to use an image texture for your dirt, but that's how I'm doing it. I'm going to rename this to dirt. And then these two images are linked. So right now if I replace one, it should replace both. And I'm going to just go into my textures here and I'm just going to grab an image of dirt. I got some soil right here, we'll use that. Now both of these are that soil, but I need to change this one to be non-color. So I'm just gonna click on that and I'm gonna come down here to non-color. That makes this not linked to this anymore. Now we do have a slight issue here. If I Shift Control click on my principled BSDF, you can see that our dirt is white. We don't want that. So I'm gonna make this color ramp a little bit more even and spread out. I'm going to go to my first color here. I'm going to drop this down pretty drastically and I'm going to bring the highlight color down to a desaturated brown. I'm going to take the shadows down to a very saturated dark brown. It just gives some depth to our dirt, right? Next, I'm going to make sure the roughness is pretty darn high. And now we need to come up with the mask to put this only into the crevices. And luckily we already have in our previous material the exact mask we need to use. So I'm going to select all of these, Control copy, come over here, Control V, and I have them right there. I'm going to hit Shift P to create a little border around those, and we can hit F2 to rename it, Dirt Mask. Now I can plug this into the first shader, plug this into the second shader, and plug the color of this into the factor of this new mix node, and we can Shift Control click on that mix node to send it in. The only problem is, as you can see, our dirt is showing up on the outside. So we do the one thing, click the inside on the ambient and occlusion node, and boom, you have it right there. The dirt's showing up on the inside, the edgeware stays on the outside, and now you have fully procedural dirt generation. If you mess with the W of your noise here, you can get different seed values for where your dirt's showing up. You can also mess with the scale for how much detail you want in your dirt, etc. All of the controls stay the same as messing with the edgewear. If you want to know more about the edgewear and how we applied that, you can go to the previous video I made about edgewear. I will link it at the end of the video. But that is how you can add dirt and grime into the crevices of your material, and all of this is done in one material, right? So we have our paint right here. This is our paint material. We added some surface imperfections to the paint. We have our edgewear metal material here. Probably could be a little bit more scuffed than we have it, but it's just a shiny chrome material. And then we have our dirt material here. And just using the simple ambient occlusion masks, we get a very dynamic material that you can drag and drop onto multiple different shapes, and with some minor tweaks to adjust the scale of the different noises and masks, should look really good on pretty much any hard surface model that you drop it onto. Alright, the last thing that I want to do is add in some dirt coming up from the ground onto this concrete material. And so I'm going to go over to my materials tab here. I'm going to click on my concrete material, and we can go into this. It looks like a mess because it kind of is, but it should be fine because we're just adding something right on top, right? So I'm going to add in a gradient texture, and this is going to be linear. And with this, I'm going to go Control T, and we're going to add a texture coordinates node. And then here, I'm going to go Shift Control click so that we can see the direction that it's going, right? And on this mapping node here, we're going to change the rotation of this. to 90 degrees. Then we can change the X location like that. But this is too perfect, so let's add in a noise texture. We're going to take that noise texture's factor into a color ramp. We're going to take the gradient texture into the top color. The bottom color is going to be white. We're going to set the color to subtract. And we're going to take the color of the color ramp into the factor. And if you want more detail or less, you can use this controller on this slider, right? Now you can also come to your noise texture here and you can change the scale. You can also set this to 4D to get different seed values using W. You can also set the scale of your gradient map with the Z, as well as set the density of your noise with the color ramp. Change the scale and the settings to what you want it to look like. This is what I set mine to, and this is the pattern I have around the whole base of the concrete. Now we just need to use this mask on a material. So let's select these nodes, let's hit Shift P, F2 to name it, Dirt Mask. Let's take our dirt from our previous material. Let's duplicate this mix shader here. Plug it into the mix shader. Plug our mask into the factor. And since we can't see it that well, what we should probably do is add a color ramp to this gradient map. So we'll Shift A, color ramp, drop it right there. Now we just need to tidy this up a little bit, and now you have some dirt coming from the ground onto your material. Proceed to your color ramp in your dirt material to get the colors matching the ground that the dirt is coming from. And last but not least, to make sure that the image is actually showing up, don't forget to take a texture coordinate and plug it into your mapping node so that you actually get the image coming through. Drop a like if this was useful, you guys. Stay tuned for a new video that I'm working on covering motion design and product animation in Blender. I'll see you guys in the next video.